Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think time is right for us to start. While we start, there will be some participants coming in, and we will allow them to come in as they're coming in. But without any further ado, allow us to jump into our session today. I must welcome everyone, our valued partners and our associates. We are honored to have you with us today for this session. And thank you very much again for allocating your valued time with us today. Uh, this event is all about Messengenius, a product which entails a secured enterprise messaging solution. Agenda today for this particular webinar, we will be going through a summary talk about who we are at Toshi. Then it will be followed by about Messengenius, which will be taken the lead by the co-founder and the CRO of Messengenius by himself, Mr. Luigi Fidelio. And he will be sharing with us as well on the third chapter as to some use cases. And item 4 will be some customization possibilities. Then we will jump straight to the question and answer. Yeah, right. Some rules of the session. Please mute your channel so that we can have this session going on smoothly. Stop the cam. You don't have to basically switch on the camera. And any questions arising, any queries, please drop it into the chat box so that we can take it by the end of the event. Yeah. Now, for those who are new to this particular webinar, we are Toshi. Our core business is very much into digital communication, and we are a distributor, sole distributor of the product outline that you can see in this particular screen. We champion unified communication and as well as digital signage platform. We've been in the market in Malaysia since 2006. Malaysia has a headquarter. We are based at Wisma Chase Perdana Kuala Lumpur. And we have a branch office in United Kingdom, which is located in Manchester. That basically happened a few months back ago. And we are basically fresh on a start in Manchester to see what is the green fields that we can explore. And thank you for the patience and our sincere apologies for the internet mishap. That is something that is unavoidable. We hope there could be some tool be found to control that as well. I'll leave that to my CTO, Mr. Ali, to figure that out. And now coming back again, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned to you in Toshi, one of our product portfolio is very much towards unified communication. In unified communication, we have the full capability of handling from the telco perspective of running the entire exchange with our partner Portal1, connecting to the telephony gateways by using Sangoma, where we are the sole distributor in Malaysia. We can then have the remedies to basically connect to the SME enterprise market by providing gateways, physical telephones, where we are a distributor of Fanville, Gigabit, Inocom, and Sangoma as a product portfolio. We also have a total cloud solutions via Sangoma, Hudu, and as well as Portal1. Hudu is very much towards these products are very robust and which has already been installed, applied in very successful cases in case study. We also have the customer relationship management solution from Present Express, Hoodoo Contact Center, Sangoma as a call center, right? And in order to basically do collaboration with Microsoft Teams, we are a certified distributor of AnyNode, where we can basically do a collaboration exercise with Microsoft Teams. This can be applied over the cloud and as well as on the prem. MCU video conferencing and collaboration with smartboards can be applied as well. And last but not least, the topic that we are discussing today, which is MessageGenius. This particular entire suite that you could see here, ladies and gentlemen, talks all about unified communication per to say, right? Now, another vertical that we have within Toshi is digital signage. Yeah, we are the sole distributor again for Philips Professional Display, and we are also the sole distributor of a product called AnySignage, together with some intelligent softwares that to give you the intelligence of or the empowerment to take digital signage to the next era via using products, softwares like 22 Miles, AnySignage, Intuitface, and Awori. Now, having said all this, we can also populate whatever we are providing you into video wall processors by providing Vivid Wall and Useful. We can customize any size of digital signage in terms of from the perspective of smart tables, digital posters, interactive kiosks, or any boards per to say. We are also a distributor of 22 Miles that gives you the intelligence of doing wayfinding, and to take in to the larger extreme, we could also facilitate any LED, large format LED panels as well. Yeah. Now, for those who have not registered with us as a partner, feel free to explore us on our website or scan us in this QR, which will basically lead you to the particular portal where you can register yourself as our partner, right? Now, without any further ado, I would rather like to hand this session to Mr. Luigi to take from here and take us for a complete detailed share on this particular product called MessageGenius. To you, Mr. Luigi.
Thank you, Mr. Ganeshan. Thanks for the presentation and for this opportunity. I'm very glad to be here for this presentation to the Toshi Galaxy. In representation of MessageGenius, we have myself. I am Luigi Fidelio, co-founder and chief revenue officer of MessageGenius, and also Anastasia, my colleague. Please,
nice to meet you all. Thank you very much for having us here. I'm Anastasia, Vice President of Marketing and Partnerships at MessageGenius.
So MessageGenius, in a nutshell, is the secure enterprise messaging. And the idea of this session, behind this session, is the one of introducing you to the peculiarities of our technology so that you can understand why it is so important for the public and the private sector, why securing internal comms is critical for both the public and the private sector. So here we start with a view on the public sector. As you know, there are many instant messaging tools that are made for consumers. They are tools like WhatsApp, tools like WeChat that are used also in the public sector to allow communications among employees, among co-workers. But this exposes those communications to a lot of risks in terms of data sovereignty. Here in this slide, we are portraying some of the news that have been shaking the world of the public sector in many countries around the fact that the politicians, the establishment was using some consumer products to communicate, There were scandals in the UK connected to Boris Johnson that was basically breaching the national security guidance over private messaging tools. There were other issues in the US connected to the same kind of risks concerning the national security. France as well was building their own instant messaging app to protect internal comms. As you can understand, there are serious concern about this, because when it comes to making the civil servants communicate, and so making information that is very sensitive for the state being exchanged among civil servants, when we come to that, it is crucial to secure that communication on servers that are owned by the same state to which those data are referred. As you can understand, software such as WhatsApp are not conceived for a professional use. They are not designed to be used at work. And also, they have their servers based in the US. They are Facebook, basically Meta servers. So they are subject to the jurisdiction of the US. This is not a risk per se, but of course means that the country that those communications are referred to is not the sole owner of those data. So in all the sectors that refer to national security, for example, to national assets of a country, strategical assets of a country, including also energy, including defense, and public sector in general, it is crucial to know who owns those data. And it is of utmost importance to make sure that the data is stored on the servers of the same state that those communications are referred to. Let's jump now on the private sector. Here we take as a paradigm the example of the banking sector. It's the reference for private sector in this case. And here you find news about how the issue that communications were managed in some top banks, some top brands were managed again with consumer tools has become a big issue. And those players have suffered for sanctions that have been very significant. We have, for example, the case of Morgan Stanley that had to fire 2 top commodity traders because they were using WhatsApp. For the same reason, JP Morgan has accepted to pay a fine of over 200 million, a fine from the Stock Exchange Commission, so from the watchdog of the stock exchange market there in the US, because they were letting their employees use WhatsApp in job-related communications. So this would escape basically the regulator's reach. Same thing was happening with HSBC and with most Wall Street banks in general. So you can certainly understand how crucial it is, both in public and in private sector, to have your internal comms secured, stored on your servers. That's why we have created Messaginius. Messaginius, in a nutshell, is the enterprise messaging for secure, productive, and integrated communications among colleagues. I've used these 3 adjectives, secure, productive, and integrated, because they are the main differentiators of our technology. Messaginius is indeed installed on-prem or on private cloud. So it's self-hosted on the client servers, which means that only the client is the owner of the exchange comms. Not even us, not even our team can access the database of conversations. And we do a number of things that I will explain later in more detail to secure comms. So first main differentiator is security and data ownership. Second pillar of our value proposition is the focus on productivity, because we can make customizations to make sure that both the interfaces and the workflow of the app, so the user experience of the app, follow the productivity needs of the customer company. So we give our app in white label, so there will be your client's logo everywhere in the app, their colors, their brand identity, and everything. And also the features will be designed in such a way that it will not just be a chat, but it will be the perfect internal communication tool that they need to speed up their comms. The third aspect that differentiates Messaginius from all the mainstream players in the market is the integration into any other software in use. So this is very interesting from a resale point of view, because Basically, the messaging becomes a sort of wild card that you can embed into any other project that you have with a customer, because we can integrate the messaging, we can embed the messaging capabilities into any other software that is already in use in the client company. So you can consider Messagenius as the secure Slack alternative with a plus on security and data ownership, productivity, and integration. We cover all the features of messaging. So in Messagenius, you would have the text message, including also the emojis. You can have the voice message that also have the transcription available. So you can have a text preview of what has been said in the voice message. You have the secure exchange of multimedia files, such as videos, pictures, and so on, position, and everything you would find in messaging. We offer our technology as a standalone app, branded and customized in white label, so as Toshi Messenger or as, under your client's brand. And we provide our solution also as an add-on feature, as I was saying, integrated, embedded into any other software in use via SDK. And we cover all the platforms, iOS, Android, Windows, and web. Basically, we allow our companies to make no compromise on compliance and user experience. Because, on one side, you usually have Slack that is adopted only in the IT sector. It's considered a little bit too geeky, not adopted by, for example, technicians on the field, control rooms. It's a little bit too much focused on IT workforces. On the other side of the dilemma, you have WhatsApp, which is very handy in terms of user experience, very easy to use, but absolutely not compliant for professional use, neither in the public nor in the enterprise sector. So now we deep dive a little bit more into the competitive advantages of Messagenius. As I was saying, it's also the title of this session, security. Security is the top distinctive feature of Messagenius, together with the data ownership. We install on-prem or on private cloud. So basically, we can install our messaging on the servers of your clients, on your servers, wherever you would decide, both on-prem and on private cloud, so that only the company adopting Messagenius will be the owner of the communications exchange. So the only one allowed to access the server and to inspect the conversations if necessary. We can customize the encryption. So we implement the encryption levels that are required by the customers. And we can also do split key and two-man rule. So basically, we give the key, different pieces of the key, to different key people in the customer organization, so that in order to access the database or conversation, you would need the different users to be who hold a piece of the key to be connected at the same time on the database, so that you avoid internal and external spying. Because internally, no one is able autonomously to access the database of conversations because the key is distributed. There is a piece of the key in the hands of different people. And also external spying, because it will be more difficult to put pressure on all the people holding the key if someone from the outside wants to access the database of conversations. The protected message is another feature that we have connected to security. So we have messages that in order to be read, require a CAPTCHA code or the input of the fingerprint or the unlocking code of the phone in order to specifically unlock that message and read the message. When the message is not unlocked, you see just a balloon with a locker in it. And then the black box. So we have the indelible messages as a standard feature. So all the messages are always inspectable and stored on the database. So even if the user tries to delete the message from the device, from the client, there would always be a track of that message on the servers if the organization requires to inspect that conversation. Second area of competitive advantages is the focus on productivity. We have tailor-made workflows that are basically script-based interaction modules that follow 100% the manuals of operations of the client companies. So let's say we have a very codified operation to be performed, and we have a control room and a technician. We already know what are the steps that regulate this kind of interaction. So there must be confirmation of presence, there must be confirmation of certain preliminary actions that have been taken by the control rooms, confirmation on the field side, and so on. We know the entire workflow, and we structure the communication in such a way that we have call to action buttons so that they don't need to type. They can send a call to action. They have take in charge buttons to speed up all the comms. We have process management mechanics, so we also have other features that other instant messaging apps don't have. So the acknowledgement feature, sort of Roger action, the reinforced authentication for critical steps. So when you have a sensitive passage of a workflow that is discussed, we require the user not only to send the message, but also to authenticate the sending that message by inputting the unlocking code of the phone, the captcha code, or fingerprint. We have the wait notification, so that you know that in order to progress in the interaction, you have to wait for the other party to perform a certain preliminary action. We have customizable contact lists, so you can add to your contacts basically a number of attributes based on the criteria that the company has. They can span from specialization to location to department to role and so on. And of course, we integrate with the Active Directory and LDAP that are already in use. We can also produce automatic and real-time reports. So the conversation, the instant messaging conversation, can trigger reports automatically and in real time, because we know who has said what and at what part of the to what part of the workflow that communication corresponds to. We are able to generate reports of the interactions, so of the operations, as a sort of black box. We have special feature for admins and departments. So we have the broadcast blast messages that with one single sending reach a number of users in one-to-one conversations. Of course, we have groups, we have channels, we have differentiated permissions to, of course, create groups. Certain users, based on their role, are able to create groups. Others are not able to do so. I mean, basically, we mirror all the hierarchy, the concept of hierarchies, privileges, and permissions that are already in place in the company. We have a management dashboard for analytics, for group administration, for supervision of conversations. And as I was saying, we can integrate our messaging into any other software in use, so that we import communication capabilities into other softwares, for example, CRMs, task management software, and so on. We have single sign-on, we have shortcuts, groups, context-wise chat that can be integrated anywhere. We can federate the organizations in case of large groups, or we can keep each organization in a separate silos. We have the single sign-on in case we are required to integrate our messaging into another existing app in use. And we provide API, SDK, and triggers for the integration, and we also take care of the integration ourselves if necessary. Here we have an example of the incident room. So in this case, just to give you in a nutshell what Messagenius can do, and when applied in the case of companies that have control rooms and technicians on the field, you have, for example, an alert that triggers a conversation, an alert coming from an IoT system. This IoT system reveals that there is a certain issue with a cable in a certain cabin. And because we know who is on duty in that moment, who is entitled to address a specific issue, who is located where, we immediately create a group conversation that becomes the communication hub to resolve that specific incident, to address that specific ticket. So we open up a chat with a card summarizing all the relevant information about the incident, and that becomes the communication hubs where users can exchange voice messages, text messages, pictures, and so on. And once they resolve the incident, they can export the conversation as a PDF or as a report for, as a complement for their internal reporting system. We allow as compliance enablers for GDPR and all the data protection regulations, because basically we make all the data available to the customer company that has generated the customer companies that have generated that data, because we install everything on-prem or on private cloud. So everything is on the servers of the customer organization. The conversations are there, they're available for inspections, but inaccessible to third parties, and they are separated from the personal messaging apps. You would never have to try to understand where that employee is, in what consumer chat that employee has stored information that should actually be referred to job-related issues. Here's some of the clients that we work with. They have two main features in common. They are all active in highly regulated and strategic sectors. So those are our target industries. And they have a large workforce, ideally a distributed workforce. Indeed, we work with the public IT integrator of Italy, owned by the Ministry of Economy and Finance of the country. We work with major system integrators such as Engineering. We work with Terna. It is the largest electricity grid operator in Europe, the sixth in the world. They use it for communications between field workforces and control rooms. We work with the archaeological site of Pompeii. They use Messageros for critical comms for inspections, daily inspections, referred to the state of conservation of the site. We work with the Italian National Railway Company. So they have technicians on the field that manage the entire network of railway network of the country, and they use Messageros to communicate with control rooms. We work with two big telcos such as Open Fiber, cable in country with fiber optic network, and Telecom Italia, the top telco in Italy. We have also clients abroad. There are 3 clients in particular that are very relevant, but they are under NDA, so we can't reveal their identity. They are active in law enforcement in the US, so they use Messageros for security reasons, for supply chain security, for cargo crime prevention. We have a company that is active in financial asset management in Eastern Europe. Another company that works it's a multinational American company that works in the sector of high-level tourism, in the sense that they do cruises in yacht boats. Here are some of the verticals where we are active. So the main one is definitely distributed workforces, wherever you would have technicians on the field and control rooms coordinating them. And here we encompass utility companies, oil energy companies, transportation, telcos, oil and gas, and so on. Public sector is one of the other top verticals where we operate. Indeed, the 80% of our customers, they do have the state as a shareholder. So the state owns equity, the government owns equity of those companies. The reason is very straightforward, because in the public sector, the compliance in data ownership is a precondition for communications. Defense and law enforcement is another sector where we operate. So you would have communications with police officers on the field and control rooms, banking, finance, and insurance, as I was saying, and also healthcare and pharma, because the patient's data is usually the one that deserves the highest level of protection in every national regulation about data treatment. Here, the case of Rete Ferroviaria Italiana, it's the owner of Italy's railway network. They use Messageros for communication among technicians, control rooms, and managers. We have integrated Messageros within their task management software. We have also implemented a dictation feature for them to speed up the reporting, and they needed 0 training. This is very important because no mobile user in the world would require training to use instant messaging. Everyone is already familiar with messaging because it is the everyday habit of every mobile user in the world. With nearly 3 billion users, instant messaging is definitely the thing that everyone does every day. So you don't need to train your employees on how to use Messageros. Here are some of the awards that we have received. 3 in London, because it's worth also mentioning that we are an Italian company with a branch in the UK, in London. We have been selected by some prestigious programs such as LORCA, the London Office for Rapid Cybersecurity Advancement. Cyber Runway Scale is the top program for cyber companies that are growing at very fast pace. London and Partners is the agency of development for the City of London. We have also been selected for a fellowship in the US, fellowship for innovators, for top 50 innovators in Europe and Eurasia. Programs of the Department of State of the Department of International Trade of the UK, GSMA, the International Association of Telcos, has given us an award at the Mobile World Congress a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, as one of the top growing companies for the future of digital services, and also SOGEI, the public system integrator in Italy. So these are our contacts. But the main idea behind this would be to actually get your feedback and understand if you have any question, any angle from which this can be of interest to your clients. So I would say, if that's okay for you, Ganesh, and if it's okay for the audience, we can start with the Q&A so that both myself and Anastasia will be able to handle your questions. Thank you.
Yep, back to the floor. I mean, thank you very much, Luigi and Anna, for the talk and a brief explanation on Miscellaneous. Partners, associates, do we have any questions on the floor, please?
Yes, Mr. Ganesh, I got some question here.
Excellent, Muru. Go ahead, Muru.
Okay. This app, we bring in the user into the, can say the private chat box. Okay. Can the user also can be the public chat box? Because in the private, they got a role and a department, everything's controlled by the SS level. But the same group can put it in the public without any role and without any SS level.
Luigi,
So-
the baton to you.
Yeah, just a clarification on this. When you refer to the public, what do you exactly mean? Talking, yeah.
Okay, let's say my organization got a 1,000 people with a role and department, everything can control the SS level. Same, these people, I can put it in a public where they can communicate with everybody, free chat flow, no official chat, something like that, can control in a one apps.
Yes, this can be done. You can have basically different layers of communications in that sense. This is definitely feasible. It's very customizable. So when it comes to allowing users to do certain things and to differentiate their permission and privileges, that's one of the differentiators that we have. So if you require, just to give you a hint of what are the capabilities of the solution, you can also do things in such a way that certain users can do certain things that others cannot. So I was making before the example of creating a group. There can be groups that are created only by certain users, while others can only access if they are invited, but they are not autonomously able to create a group. There can be private groups, but there can also be channels that are open to join. We can have different permissions also in terms of allowing users to contact other users. So we can do things in such a way that I can contact people that are either at my same level or below in the hierarchy of the organization, or for example, up to one level upper than mine, N+1, N+2. Or you can do things in such a way that everyone can communicate with everyone and have everyone on the basically contact list of the app. These are all settings that can be fully customized based on the requirements basically of your customer.
Okay.
Thank you, Luigi. Thank you very much. Muru, would that answer your query, Mr. Muru?
Yeah. I understand.
Thank you. Thank you
I
very
got one more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please, by all means.
They
The
got
more question, the merrier it is.
any like walkie-talkie function inside?
Yes. So we have the one-tap voice messaging. I will show you right now. So basically, you see, I have the.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me remove the effects. Okay, so you can see the app from here. So you see at the side of every contact, you have a microphone logo.
Yes.
You do you do like this, you're already recording a voice message, you release and it's already sent. This is patented. It's our one-tap voice messaging experience. It's the quickest way to say something with your voice on the phone, because in just one single tap, you have sent a voice message. We have basically patented the selection of the contact, the recording of the message, and the sending of the message in one single gesture. It might seem, something silly, but when it comes to sending two voice messages to two different recipients, with Messagenius it's two single taps. With all the other apps, you would have the standard user experience that we also have, but you would have to tap once to enter the contact, the third time to record the message, and a third to go back to the contact list. And this, to be done twice, it means 6 taps.
Okay.
With Messagenius is only 2 taps.
This one is the broadcast the voice. The one I request is the walkie-talkie. I mean, you while talking, the other party can listen. Walkie-talkie function.
So it's the one that I was showing now. It's asynchronous, so it's the voice messaging with the one-tap feature. We don't have a walkie-talkie feature right now, but we can customize it if necessary.
Okay.
Yeah, we have, by the way, the voice call and video call in beta that we have released very recently.
But the one is linked to the SIP gateway, is it?
Sorry, again?
The one linked to the SIP gateway, is it? The voice call, or is a third-party gateway, or into the software already is building?
We are building it. We are integrating a third-party software that allows us to do on-prem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Maru. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ganesh.
Mr. Luigi, I have a question. Being a sole distributor of Messengernius in Malaysia, right? My question is, who are Messengernius competitors?
Sure, good question. So we have two tiers of competitors. The first tier would be the one of the mainstream applications, both consumer and professional ones. So some people perceive that, I don't know, WhatsApp can be a competitor, or the most widespread secure instant messaging app in the market could be a competitor. Indeed, they are not, in the sense that we only compete with apps that do on-prem installation and data ownership. And even the other apps, the second tier of competitors, the one that do professional comms, that I would say Slack, Microsoft Teams, they don't do on-prem, they don't do white label, they don't do customization of the user experience.
All right.
And so the competitive advantages with respect to them remain the security, data ownership, the productivity, and the integration.
Excellent. So
thank
you very much, Mr. Luigi.
Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, fellow mates, do we have any further question, please?
Hi, Mr. Ganesh. This is Shan
Hi,
speaking.
Mr. Shan. Yes.
Hello, Mr. Luigi. Thank you very much for sharing this valuable information. First of all, you guys have to excuse me for the background noise. But then I'm representing SIX Corporation, Japan, and we are stationed in Malaysia with multiple manufacturing network involving automotive production. And of course, security, communication, and platform is a must. And therefore, this is the first time I'm joining this good know-how. Okay, my question here is, I want to understand if we have multiple branches, manufacturing environments, and multiple teams that are involved in various projects that requires security on their communication via mobile. How should we understand on the cost platform? What are we looking into at? For example, if there is one organization that is being pioneering this usage of this Messengernius, so therefore, will this be propagated to the participating or the sister companies that are involved? So I want to understand basically how does this cost platform works, if you don't mind, please.
Sure. So thank you, Mr. Shan, for the question. What happens in these cases is that either the headquarter of one of the branches subscribe to Messengernius and adopts it as the official messenger for internal communications. So they use Messengernius for the internal comms, to secure internal comms. They deploy an internal policy to say, from today, we adopt this solution. It has our own brand. It's installed on our servers. It's customized to serve the productivity needs that we have. So this on the formal side. On the material side, what happens is that we distribute the app with the channels that the customer company wants to use. So we can either share a link from which they can download the app, or we can distribute the app via the mobile device management systems that are already in place. So the MDM in case they have corporate devices. Or we can post the app on the stores under the name of Digital Stores, App Store and Play Store, under the brand of the customer company. So on the formal side, there is a policy adopting MessageGenius officially. On the material side, you have the distribution of the app via digital stores, links to download the app, or MDM systems. There can be a partial adoption. For example, in our case, we have a client that is using MessageGenius only for certain operations that involve technicians on the field and control rooms. So they use MessageGenius not for every internal communication in the company, but for specific ones, the ones that refer to work in high voltage cables, for example, because we have codified their workflow into the interaction path. Let me know, Mr. Shan, if I addressed your question appropriately, or if I should deep dive into any of those aspects that I've been mentioning.
Yeah, thanks for the information. But then what I want to know is this MessageGenius, once you subscribe it or you become the subscriber for this solution, is it limited to the number of users that carries this application on their hardware, or is it unlimited? How I want to understand, how does the cost works?
Sure, good question. Thanks for this. So the structure of cost, I mean, the pricing model is based on one main variable, that is a tiered model of users. The more users they buy, the lower the price of each bracket that they buy. Just to give you an example of what's the standard pricing list that we have, for 1,000 users for 1 year, so 12 months, it's $5 per user per month, which is, if you do the math, 60,000 per year for 1,000 users. If you buy more users, the price decreases dramatically. The more users you buy, the lower the price. There can be an additional component that would be the customization. So in case they want to customize specific features, not refer to the user interface, the logo, the branding, that is included. But if they want to customize heavily some features, we would quote it separately. And yeah, we will take it from there. Of course, via Toshi, you would have specific discounts for the Malaysian market.
Yeah, thanks, Luigi. We will be glad to assist in sharing the pricing structure to all our partners based on the requirement, as well said by Luigi, that the pricing structure that we are trying to tailor going towards the market is the more the merrier, meaning to say the more the user, the cheaper you get. Yeah, because the understanding is basically to penetrate the market and to offer a clientele something that is not available as secure as MessageGenius is. Now, do we have any further question, please, from the team? If we don't have any question, I would please feel free. As all our partners in Malaysia, they do know our access. Drop us all the questions that you have, and we'll be glad to assist you in any manner that we can as soon as possible. And I would say thank you very much for everybody to participate in this event today. I hope it was very, very informative, as it was for us. And don't shy away, please, as what Mr. Muru and Mr. Shan were discussing. Let's explore to ourselves, mine our own databases, and see to what extreme that we can collaborate this together, right? And without any further delay, I would like to thank Mr. Hughie, Miss Anna, and Mr. Ali, and everybody who participated for this event to make this a successful one. And have a good evening, have a safe drive, and enjoy the evening. And for those in the UK and Italy, you got a long stretch of a day to go.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Mr. Ali.
Thank you very much. Thanks,
you so
everyone.
much. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Ali, are
Anna.
you there?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Ali.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Thanks again. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.